Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
A thank you today delivered from the air down to Montana healthcare and frontline workers who are in the midst of battling COVID-19. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. We'll have more on that story in just a bit. But first, Billings students and their parents now have official plans and rules in place for graduation. Late this afternoon, School District 2 announced who, when, where, and how those ceremonies will play out at Metro Park. All three high schools will hold commencement ceremonies on Sunday, May 24th. Q2's David J. standing by now in the newsroom with details that seniors and their parents need to know. David.
Well, Jeanelle, graduation will look quite a bit different this year. Each student will be allowed to invite two guests, and each graduate will receive those two reserve tickets to the First Interstate Arena, and everyone will be required to wear a mask that they will get for free in the school colors. With about 400 in the largest graduating class, no more than 1,200 will be at each ceremony. Temperatures will be taken at the entrance, and Superintendent Greg Upham had talked with other AA superintendents, Yellowstone County Health Office, Billings Clinic, and Metro Park in making the decision.
It is with great pride that we announce, with our partnership with Billings Clinic and Mr. John Felton, a manner in which to honor our graduates for 2020. We realize the roller coaster that we've all been a part of and the emotional challenges that everyone in our community is facing and has faced, and specifically in this case, our students and the parents. If I've noticed one thing as a superintendent in what we've missed in all of this pandemic issue and all this pandemic issue that we're dealing with was the people to people.
Skyview will go through starting at 9 a.m., seniors starting at 2 p.m. and West at 7 p.m. All of this on May 24th. So there will still be a celebration, but they tell us that there will not be a band. Janelle?
All right, thanks, David. I think parents and loved ones will just be grateful to see their students cross the stage. Well, and for younger students not graduating, here's some information you might need to know. Superintendent Upham says the majority, about 70%, have been fully engaged with online learning, and only a small percentage have not been engaged at all. Now, this year, teachers are being advised not to give final exams in the traditional sense, but instead to ask students for summations in place of any finals. AP and college-level courses will still have finals. Under the district's no harm plan, students cannot receive a lower grade than they had before the move to an online format, but they can improve their grades. There are no penalties for late work received after May 29th, but students will have to make up any incomplete assignments by the fall to be eligible for sports and activities. Well, one area of care across Montana got a funding boost today. Today, Governor Steve Bullock announced $10 million in federal funding to help child care centers. Most have been closed the last several weeks, waiting on financial assistance or the chance to even open. Half of that money will go towards child care providers to keep paying staff. They can apply for help through their local child care resource agencies. Another 30% of the funding will benefit low-income and at-risk children through a scholarship program called The Best Beginnings. This will allow families to resume care when they can return to work. The remaining 20% will go to fund temporary child care needs, especially for health care employees. Well, two C-130s made their way across the Montana sky today as the Montana Air National Guard saluted those on the front lines of the coronavirus fight. Shortly before one of those planes reached Billings, first responders from across our area said thank you with a big noisy parade. The event helped kick off National Nurses Week. Q2's Mitch Laggy watched all of today's events unfold on the ground and in the air.
At 12:30 Wednesday afternoon, medical staff at the Billings hospitals were treated to a parade made up of police, firefighters, paramedics, and tow truck drivers. The first responders showing recognition to those fighting COVID-19 in the community.
Heard multiple comments from the nurses that they were just feeling gratitude for the expression of appreciation, and it's reciprocal. We appreciate them just as much as they appreciate us.
The parade was organized to kick off National Nurses Week, which started on Wednesday and runs through next Tuesday. The holiday recognizes the dedication of hospital nursing staff across the country.
This was very meaningful for us during Nurses Week. We've got some of the best and brightest nurses in the nation here at Billings Clinic. We're very proud of them, and we're very proud of the work that they do keeping our patients safe.
The parade in Billings snaked its way through the downtown hospital corridor, then on down North 27th Street to give Riverstone Health staff a show. 20 minutes after its conclusion, heads turned to the sky to watch the Montana National Guard fly a C-130 airplane over Billings. The craft was one of two that took off from Great Falls at 10:15 in the morning. The planes took separate routes to eastern and western Montana. The plane that flew on the east route was over Harlem, Wolf Point, Glendive, and a handful of other towns before flying over Billings around 12:50 in the afternoon. The goal of the flight was to salute Montana's first responders on the front lines at home. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Mitch, and to our photographers who got all those great pictures today. Well, people who attended the parade and flyover were asked to practice social distancing and avoid grouping up, and Mitch says, as you can see on the video, they did a pretty good job. And now turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. And hold on to your hats because we have some potentially nasty weather heading this way.
And it's not that far away. Let me show you what's happening. It's a low pressure cell and a cold front. It's over Yellowstone Park right now. Sending out ahead of it, we have some rain showers moving into the region. Up in the mountains, it's coming down to snow, and all around it, it's going to be very windy conditions. So that low pressure cell, as it makes its way across the region tonight, still continuing to send a little rain our way, snow up in the mountains. Then the whole thing will track across Wyoming, and as it does so, it'll eventually drop farther south. As it drops farther south, then it's going to take the rain that was stationed up across the highline and bring it right on through the Billings area, and we'll see more rain on Thursday. And then by the time Friday gets here, another batch of rain starts moving in from the north and continues to push through. But in the meantime, tonight, here's what we have. High wind warning for our area starts at 6 p.m. this evening and goes until noon tomorrow, looking for winds gusting to 60 miles per hour across most of south central Montana. We'll have more on the forecast in a few more minutes. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, now to an update on coronavirus cases. Montana is now one of 14 states across the U.S. going down in numbers. Well, today there are no reports of any new cases. This is the first time since March. 410 Montanans have recovered from COVID-19. 6 remain in the hospital here in Montana. The total confirmed number statewide remains at 456. Well, that's not the case in Wyoming tonight, where confirmed cases passed Montana today as the total reached 479. The state also reports 27 more confirmed positive cases today, the state's largest one-day increase. 24 of those new cases in Fremont County. Well, the other states surrounding Montana have more than 6,000 confirmed cases combined. South Dakota, almost 2,800 cases with 29 deaths. That could go up significantly tomorrow, the state says, after test results come back from employees at a Sioux Falls meatpacking plant. Well, today, North Dakota had its highest death number in one day. 6 people died today, and the state now reports more than 1,300 cases, with most of them in the Fargo area. And Idaho is seeing its new case rate drop, but it has more than 2,100 cases and 64 deaths. Well, new details tonight on the twin-engine plane crash that took the life of a Billings pilot on April 20th. The pilot, 64-year-old Lloyd Gerber, took off from Billings Logan International Airport when his plane went down on the Billings Rod and Gun Club property. The National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary report this week. It says witnesses noticed the Piper twin-engine plane was lower than normal at takeoff. One witness says the plane was in a slow descent with the nose up. The plane flew about a mile before it crashed into a ravine and burst into flames. The tower did not have any communication with the pilot after he took off, and the plane was intact before it crashed. Well, ahead on tonight's 5:30 News, a look at one small business changing things up to stay afloat and keep the doors open during this economic downturn. And in sports, your Montana-Wyoming All-Star Basketball Series is now canceled. Scott has the details.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.